Welcome to the French Wedding Podcast with your host Naïm, the only podcast in English about weddings in France. Great conversations, tips and insights about your French wedding, some wisdom before your big day, and the opportunity to hear wedding professionals actually living and working in France, only for your day to be the most amazing to remember.
Hello everyone and welcome to the French Wedding Podcast. Greetings from France. This is the place where we're recording this show. I'm Naïm, professional ceremony officiant based in my hometown Paris, and I created this show especially for future brides and grooms willing to get married in Paris or anywhere in France. Each episode is an occasion to meet a main actor of the industry, can be a vendor such as a wedding planner, hair and makeup artists, bridal salon, videographer, venue owner, bloggers, you name it. This show exists to bring you some insight about how people do things in France regarding the wedding industry, but we also share funny stories, things to know, and special memories when we happen to work together on the very same wedding. My guest today, Katerina, has been on the show many times before. It's actually her fourth appearance. For those who don't know her, Katerina is a high-end wedding planner based in Paris. She comes today to talk about recent news regarding the wedding industry and COVID, obviously, but also to present her recent YouTube project called the French Wedding Series. So without further ado, please welcome again Katerina Meyvial on the French Wedding Podcast. Katerina, welcome to the show.
Hello, Naïm. Thank you for having me. It's always nice to be here.
Welcome back for the fourth episode together. It's going to become a series here. Really happy to have you on this Sunday afternoon in Paris. We're recording this episode in April 21 for the record. Let's start with the main topic. I don't think we can avoid it. That's what we were talking about right before we started. The infamous COVID-19. How is everything going in France for you?
That's complicated. Obviously, it's complicated as in many other countries. Like comparing to the United States and some other countries, like Mexico, as far as I know, France is doing worse because France actually forbids any events at all. If, for instance, in the United States, you have got some kind of restrictions, in certain states, you can still celebrate. Even if it's like just an outdoor ceremony, here in France, you cannot do anything at all. So this way has been like very complicated for the last months. So we're really hoping that the situation will improve this summer, but we are completely uncertain because there is no agenda. Our president has not confirmed us anything, even though like wedding planner associations are doing a really great job. So they're kind of insisting on getting more visibility, on getting more support to be able to plan the year. Because I do mostly work with international clients who come mostly from the US, but also from the United Kingdom, Australia, China, South Africa. So these couples, the majority of them have decided to postpone to 2022. I'm following the groups of other wedding planners. We are exchanging the information. Some couples are still planning to come for their destination weddings in France in the second part of the year. So for instance, many couples still stick to August 2021, for instance, and they still hope that they can come. The only problem with that, I'm pretty sure that we will be able to host weddings and maybe, like, fingers crossed, even we'll be able to travel internationally in the second part of the year. My only concern now are the guests, because many of the guests are quite reluctant and they are unwilling to travel this year. So even though some couples are like super ready and super motivated and they want to come to France and they want to celebrate, some of them have to postpone because they realize that some important part of their guests is not willing to travel.
Okay, that was a good resume of the situation.
Yeah. So guys, if you are willing to come to France, seriously, if you want to come for a simple, like a very small elopement, I'm pretty sure you will be able to do so this year. Like, I cannot imagine now when the vaccine is there, I cannot imagine us not being travel internationally in the second part of the year. Whereas when it comes to bigger celebration, I think it will be more reasonable to wait a little bit.
To wait, yeah. The US have been implementing vaccination on a very high level. So, as you said, I think travel outside of the US will resume pretty shortly. You can already travel to Mexico, as you said. This is true. So it looks like it's getting better every week. But yeah, for big celebrations in France, I agree with you. I don't think we will be able to do that unless we have a big change. I don't know, in the politics and of the vaccination and all that.
Well, the good thing is that the majority of destination weddings remain rather intimate events. So if you have a guest list of 50 people, this is quite small. Like this is not like a 200 people wedding. So as the majority of destination weddings remain intimate, I think there will be less troubles for these kind of events. But once again, the main issue today are the guests.
Yeah, the guests. This is something that like not a lot of people are thinking of. You know, we're mostly focused on the couples and everything, but obviously, what would you advise to guests?
It's very complicated and it's very delicate. Like some people are like super obsessed with the whole COVID story and they feel stressed because maybe they are vulnerable or they have experienced like a personal loss or something. So obviously, like you shouldn't force yourself and you should not force your guests. From the experience, from all the stories I have heard from my couples, all the couples try to respect the guest envies and their concerns. So I guess if you want to have everybody there with you celebrating your big day, I think it makes sense to wait until 2022. Like after all, like you have probably been waiting already for some time. And I think good things take time. And I think it's not good to compromise on things. Like if there are people, like if you think that the majority of the people you want absolutely to be there with you, if they're willing to travel, well, in that case, yes, you can just say, okay, those people who are unwilling to travel, well, everybody is responsible for himself. Everybody is taking his or her own decision. So I guess as long as you have all the closest ones with you and as long as those people are ready to travel, you can stick to your 2021 date, but provided it's in the second part of the year, because I'm not quite sure about the first part of the year.
Yeah.
But yes, if you see that, like, I don't know, 30 or 40% of your guest list of your guests are scared or are not comfortable with traveling, well, maybe you should wait a little bit.
Okay, and from your experience with your clients, how did the booking process change? You were talking about more virtual visits and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. So obviously, like none of the couples who are booking for 2022 or 2023 weddings, none of them is able to come to Paris or elsewhere in France to come to visit the venue or meet vendors. So I've been doing more and more virtual visits. Okay. Either we are just connecting with the couple directly and I'm filming the venue for them, or I'm showing them the videos I did during my visit to the place. So obviously this will never replace the real feeling of walking around the place, like, enjoying, smelling the roses in the garden and like viewing and watching this beautiful decor, these beautiful buildings, this amazing chateau. But it gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect. So in reality, it can only be better. That's the good thing. So you can only have good surprises. So more and more virtual visits, more and more online chats and like video calls with all the different vendors, because people have been spending so much time online now. So there are more and more people willing to talk to their vendors over WhatsApp or Zoom or whatever, just to see the person, just to connect a little bit and to see if the profile is good and if there's a good match, like a personality match between the vendor and the couple.
And what would you advise to the couple they're actually going through this whole pandemic, I have my wedding planned during the pandemic? What would you advise to them according to the experience that you had this year?
Drink champagne and try not to panic. Like obviously, like we've all been there. Like obviously couples are struggling. Couples are annoyed. They're upset. They don't know what to
It's important to talk about that.
Plan for. They are heartbroken sometimes because they have, like, some couples have to postpone like 5 times. This is just crazy. This is just gonna be so frustrating. I have several couples who actually decided to have a baby. Like between postponing weddings, like they say, okay, like I've got like 1 year and a half now, so maybe we'll go and do a kid. Cool. Some couples do that.
That's flexibility.
And why not?
Yeah.
And yes, well, like we are all frustrated. Vendors are frustrated as well, because there will be like wedding planners will spend 3 years without having weddings, because our last weddings were in 2019. So 2020, 2021, we will have no weddings.
Wow.
Like no international weddings. So this is like a super frustrating.
I imagine.
So we're all frustrated. Let's just it doesn't make sense to worry about things you cannot change. So let's try to take it easy. Speak to your vendor, speak to your planner, try to get, I don't know, an updates on the situation from time to time. We will do everything that's in our power to make you still enjoy the planning process, because I know, like, when you have been postponing it for so long, like, it's really difficult to enjoy the planning, because you get so frustrated. So yes, the best thing to do is just to keep calm, drink champagne, try to enjoy things, and
great. Sounds like a great advice, drinking champagne. But besides that, I really appreciate your transparency, because everybody's acting like they're still busy, and a lot of people are trying to avoid the fact that, like, nothing happens really. And I don't think you're the only vendor that are dealing with that. And I really appreciate your attitude. I think it's a good message of positivity to the whole industry to react.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you see people on Instagram showing, like, recycling their old wedding photos.
We know that.
Like, doing like style shoots and like making it look like a real wedding. But everyone in the industry knows that it's all fake. It's a style shoot. Obviously, we all need to do that, because you need to keep yourself occupied. You need to continue to work on your portfolio, etc., etc. But yeah, it's quite complicated. And for couples, just one thing I wanted to add as well, for those couples who are hesitating about booking and who are hesitating about the cancellation and postponement conditions, like, all the vendors are super flexible now. Some of the vendors do not even take the deposit, so they accept your booking, they sign the contract with you, but they might not even ask the deposit until the situation is more clear. I know people like that who act like that. The majority of vendors, though, and venues as well, would offer you very flexible postponement conditions, which means that you will still have loads of time to reschedule your event if needed. Even though, like, really, fingers crossed, like in 2022, we will forget the 2020 and 2021. I really hope we won't need to reschedule any weddings after midsummer 2021. But just it's a good thing to know that you have got this flexibility, and you should bear in mind that there are ways to work the situation around.
Absolutely. And talking about staying busy in a creative way during the pandemic, I think that you nailed it, because I wanted to actually talk to you today and introduce to the audience your absolutely amazing French wedding videos. This is a series. French wedding series. This is a series of videos that you're consisting of interviewing people, but I want you to tell it to the audience with your own words. So let's go.
Yes, basically over summer 2020, it was a boring period. So I was thinking how I can occupy myself in a positive way and to make something useful for couples who want to get married in France. So I had this idea to interview the most important, the most famous vendors here in the Parisian region. To talk with them about their work, about clients, about weddings. So I have been interviewing. I have interviewed so far the owner and the director of an entertainment company. I spoke to a catering company. I spoke to a videographer. And my next episode, which we are going to film this week, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the amazing Chateau de Chantilly.
Wow.
It's going to be a video with the wedding cake designer. And we also plan to interview a florist. So the idea is to give insights to couples on what to expect from their wedding day, what to expect from the vendor, how to choose a vendor. We are not doing our own publicity. We are really talking about our experiences and our thoughts, and we express our opinions so that couples could choose their vendors in a more informed way. For instance, we've been talking about how to make a wedding video unforgettable, because when you browse the portfolio of different videographers, all videos look the same. There's a little bit of getting ready, there's a little bit of bridal bouquet, a little bit of a dress, a little bit of a ceremony, a little bit of a kiss. Well, it's all the same. So the question is, how do you make your video looking unique, and from both creative point of view and also from the technical point of view? So we've been discussing these kind of things. We've been also talking with the catering company about what to expect from a French wedding dinner, because obviously, like, dinners in France are different from dinners, I don't know, in Italy or in the United States. So the etiquette is different, the way to serve food is different, the number of courses is different, the experience is different. So we've been talking about these kind of things to make sure that couples who are interested in getting married here in France understand better what to expect. And when they know, when they are aware of the traditional ways of doing here in France, they can adapt it so that the way the catering company serves them corresponds to what they are expecting. So I really hope that these videos are useful to couples who are envisioning getting married here in France. So there are 3 episodes now on YouTube. You can just type French wedding series and you will find it. And there are 2 more episodes that are coming.
Absolutely amazing videos. I will obviously recommend it and obviously put it on the show notes. Guys, you need to see this. I wanted to talk to you about obviously you had the original idea, but how did you make everything? Like, the decor is amazing, the team, what's the secret? Like, I was watching it I was like, oh my God, is this a professional production, or what's the story?
Oh, you flatter me. No, basically, there are no secrets. Like, we are all very passionate about what we're doing. All the vendors I was interviewing, everyone is just crazy in love with what we are doing. And I was also very lucky that many amazing venues have welcomed us. We've been shooting in a gorgeous Chateau de Villette, which is a private castle near Paris, which is an absolutely great place for a destination wedding here in France. We've been also shooting in the Hôtel Le Marois, which is another amazing place for like a very VIP regal receptions in central Paris. We've been shooting in Chateau de Bouffemont, which is another very popular place. So I'm pretty sure, like, whenever you look for a wedding venue here in France, you will see Chateau de Bouffemont.
Yeah,
so if you watch our video, you will have a chance to see the chateau as it is. From the inside, and we are going to shoot in a Chateau de Chantilly, which is a chateau museum. It's one of the most famous castles in France, and I'm very, very impatient to be there because the place is really amazing. And I still don't know where are we going to shoot our last episode, but I'm sure it's going to be something as nice as the previous venues.
Great. I hope that it's just going to be a first season and then you're going to do another round of series, because this should be made in other venues and all that. I think people will get addicted to that,
Yeah, we really wanted to include some images of the venue in the video. So if you're guys looking for inspiration, or if you want to see some beautiful venues here in France, in the Parisian area, check these videos out, because there are a lot of images of the venues themselves.
Great creation, and congratulations again. And now, talking about next year and the future, how do you see 2022 coming?
I think it's going to be like a super crazy year because we will basically have 3 years of weddings in 1 year. All the weddings that didn't happen in 2020, like I'm talking about destination weddings.
Mm-hmm.
All the weddings that didn't happen in 2020 were postponed to 21, and they are now postponed to 22. The same with 21 weddings; they are now all postponed to 2022.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, it's
so,
true.
Yes, and there will eventually be other requests during 2021 for 2022 season. So I think it will be a very, very busy year for both venues, vendors, and planners. I think it's very likely that couples who will book later than, I don't know, May, June, July 2021, it's very likely that those couples will have to accept the weekday dates for their wedding. Normally, when it comes to a destination wedding, it's not a big problem, but I know that there are some couples that do prefer to get married on Friday or Saturday, and it's really important for them. So if this is your case, I would really recommend you to book as soon as you can. I also think that planners will be crazy busy, as because we only can accept like a certain number of weddings per year, and because we already have 2 years of weddings in this 2022, I think it will be quite busy and complicated. So if you are looking to get a particular planner, or if you want to get the best deal possible when it comes both to the experience of the planner but also the price, I think it's better to book around now because later it will be more and more complicated.
Okay, so this is quite positive words, except the fact that you're going to get crazy busy at work, but this is our problem. This is
I think
industry
we miss
problem.
It so much, so I think we will be happy to be busy. But yes, I do think that those couples who want to have a large pool of vendors, especially if your budget is limited, when you're working with like a luxury, like a super high-end budget, obviously you have this freedom because the venues you will be interested in are less demanded than those venues with average prices.
Yes.
So the bigger your budget is, the more freedom you have when it comes to booking your venue and booking your vendors. But if you work if you have like a limited budget, you would likely to lack vendors if you wait too long.
Okay, so anticipation and positivity with three bookings, 3 years of booking in 1 year. That looks busy and good. Great.
Yeah. Well, I think like I really hope that people miss France as much as we do miss like international tourists.
Yeah.
So I guess it's worth waiting.
It's worth waiting, but in the meantime, we're going to keep going with content like this and your great videos, and we'll stay positive as always. The whole team of wedding vendors in France, we're all expecting new bookings very soon. And thank you very much again for being part of the show, Katerina.
Thank you for welcoming. I can't wait to see all of you guys here in France again.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to the show today. You can find more information on our guests in the show notes, as well as my contact and my website. If you have any questions regarding your French wedding, I'm happy to help. Also, please do not hesitate to leave a review for the show. There's also a link for that. That will literally take 1 minute of your precious time and will mean the world to me. I always appreciate your support. Thank you again very much for your time and feedback. Wishing you a great day or a great night anywhere you are in the world. I send you some good vibrations, and we'll talk to you again soon for a new episode. Bye-bye.